Right. On two.
Yes, you definitely
I'm not sure. All I've got is one question that's
Okay.
It's currently unmuted, so we're live to those in the call.
So I wasn't controlling anything.
Just check for you. It's definitely in my room. It's a text.
We're ready. We are.
Well, each one is they've asked me to do an validation on so, 2 weeks. Do you want to sit up there? I could do it online. It will be coming in yeah? You know that thing. Oh, you perhaps have been in another room as well.
Oh, I totally didn't mention anything about actually looking after the laptop. It was just.
It's only if somebody joins online or asks a question or something on here, they join the session remotely.
Right. How do I answer it?
No, just have to read it out. But if not, I'll just stay here for the next, until Gary can come in and relieve you.
Do you want me to go back down to Rise and Shine?
No, because you need to be in here, don't you? No, you stay here and I'll,
We've already decided.
so if somebody joins online.
I'll sit here next to you.
Shorts.
Okay. Enjoyed it so far. Onto that without this one.
Trying to.
So have we got a specific agenda for this or any specific questions? I think Johnny's coming in. I don't know, he said
It was on the list.
He is on the list. He told me earlier he wasn't.
Oh, yeah, I've just seen him taking over or walking down to the seat in Rise and Shine.
He said John was taking it to legislate John.
Yes. What's that?
There we go, John.
Did I miss another meeting or something?
Yeah. Online.
I'm from fellow accreditation colleague.
Wow. You in before you have a chance to leave. Let's get your charity now. Oh, right, okay.
Don't have one.
You all right with the Zoom?
I've got a clue what I'm doing. I think it's already on, I've seen some people.
Would you like me to leave the door open or should I close it now, given that it is?
Did Tony have an agenda anyway?
There isn't a camera.
It's not an agenda.
Oh, the agenda, sorry.
There's no camera. It's
not on mute, so it's recording. Yeah. And then just keep your eye on the chat and see if anyone asks any questions. So that's all you need to do.
I thought we did have somebody join.
There was somebody.
Oh, no, that'll be that laptop.
No, I did see someone.
No, there was
Yeah,
somebody.
Then they obviously went on this list.
That's why I signed you in between the link. Okay. Shall we leave him here?
Yes.
I've signed everybody in, apart from John's.
Well, I might as well stand inside.
You check his pen.
Alright, all right.
Not bad, you?
Yeah, I think green spicy water.
Spicy.
Only straight out of the Manchester Ship Canal.
Right. Will there be any more people arriving?
It's 5 past now, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, my name's John Ingle. I'm from the ACCS, here representing Tony for this meeting because he's obviously been taken up elsewhere. So we've also got Alistair from UCAS and Sarah from the ICO. Now, I'm not sure of the agenda for today, so can I hand over to one of you two to start the meeting?
Well, we're not actually sure of an agenda either. So the purpose, as far as I'm aware, is to discuss BSEN 17926. Although not specifically related to age assurance. Meeting will have all the editors of 277 present. And we'll have a number of EU Pims stakeholders. So Tony wanted to explore the role of 17926 in GDPR. That's when I spoke to Tony and he asked me about this. this session.
Yeah, I mean, there you're sort of one step ahead of me, because I got told this about 10 minutes before I left on Friday. So I go, John, can you do this? I mean, one of the things that Tony, well, myself as well, so I've been looking at the new Pims and the GDPR, and I've got to admit, I'm confused whether it's going down the route of like a product certification or a management system certification. Or, you know, because one is under 17065 and the other was under 17021. So where exactly is this standard going to sit?
Sure, well, the standard, so let's roll back. Pims, Privacy Information Management Systems, is currently an extension of 27001 for information security. I say currently because I think that status is evolving, and that's part of what the Working Group 5 are discussing this week,
Yes.
amongst other things. Tony discovered this standard it was probably a couple of months ago. I think it was the first time I mentioned it to us. What the standard 17926 seems to do is specifies refinements for an application of 27701 for a European context. So the Pims standard, which extends to ISO-S, is obviously meant for global use. 17926 seems to give it a European context if it was to be used by an organisation to help demonstrate the requirements of GDPR being fulfilled. However, GDPR regulation in the EU and the UK equivalent specify 17065, which is a product standard because it's the processing of data.
Yeah.
It's the concern of the regulation. So it can be fulfilled entirely by a management system standard. However, a management system could support a 17065 scheme for processing the data because it gives that framework for the management system aspect. So it would be good practice, which we would generally always encourage as an established way of supporting a potential scheme. But the schemes that are created to meet the requirements of GDPR, both in the UK and in the EU, there is a framework there which requires the competent authority, that's what it is, to review and authorise that scheme as fit for purpose.
Right.
So my understanding, and Alistair and I have been discussing this a bit, is that this standard, the 17926, is intended to bridge the gap between the management system and make it compatible with 17065 by applying some of by requiring organisations to apply certain the standards the requirements that are set out in the annex to this one, which link to 27001 and 27701. But we're not really sure how that could work in practice and whether that would be sufficient for us as the regulator to approve the standards within it as a UK GDPR certification scheme in line with Article 42. Because obviously what we look at is whether the requirements would result in compliance with UK data protection legislation. So this standard sets extra requirements that seem to align it to GDPR. But as we know, UK GDPR is slightly different to GDPR. So whether it doesn't always have a direct read across. So it's hard to say whether it would work in that way, and that's what we established. But I think in theory, if it did, in theory, then it means that if we as the regulator were to kind of to approve this standard and say if an organisation was certified to this standard, they would, their processing would comply with the legislation, then it could be used in a UK, like then it could, a certification body could seek accreditation from UCAS, but then on the UCAS side, on the accreditation side, then there's the question of how that works in terms of accrediting an organisation when it's, is it a management system, is it product certification? This seems to make it a hybrid of the two, so that's what
I think that's where the confusion is from a lot of people I'm talking to. It's in the middle. It's neither one or the other. And I don't know how it's going to reflect with, obviously, this week they're reviewing the new 27001 and also reviewing the 27701. So it'd be interesting to see there exactly what changes are going to be made to how it's going to reflect. But I think realistically, I think it for the general users, I think it's got to be sort of clarified. Certainly for the UCAS point of view, is it the 27? Is it the 17026 or is it management system? 17065.
17065 for GDPR.
Yeah.
Until the regulation would change, that's the requirement for the law. So a scheme owner could come forward to ICO and to UCAS and say, we've got a scheme and we've got all these technical requirements for the process, and for the management system, we're looking to adopt 27701 as supplemented by 17926. But that only fulfills the management system requirements of the 17065 scheme.
Right.
And it would still need to be verified, reviewed and verified by ICO, and then it comes to us and we look at it from a creditability, if that's a word, that it's suitable. And while all this is going on, the standard that this complements is subject to revision, and the regulation DPTI is coming in as well. Which
So I don't know, I feel like the point of this is obviously to try and make a management system fit 17065 certification. That's kind of how it reads. But how that works in practice just can't really work out. Because what it says is, it says about determining the PII processing operations within the scope of a management system. But a management system is a management system. There isn't processing within the management system. The management system is there to ensure that the processing is compliant. So I don't know if that's just a wording thing that's not explained very well. So I think what they're trying to say is that if somebody identifies the processing operations here and then applies all the requirements within 17065, that it could be compatible, sorry, not 17065, 17926, that it could be compatible, it could constitute product certificates, well, not product, services, process certification scheme under 17065. I think that's been a question since the outset in terms of data protection certification, specifically Gdpr certification. The reason it was done under 17065 is to verify that the resulting processing is compliant. And like Alice said, a management system can be part of that. We would expect an organisation to have good information governance in place to ensure that their processing is compliant, but having a good management system doesn't ensure in itself that processing does comply. So that was the intention of GDPR, was you're looking at the end result, not just at an organisation's intentions. So it would need to, I haven't reviewed all of this and gone, okay, would that meet our requirements? But we'd have to look at all those. In order to approve it, we'd have to look at all what the normative requirements are and say, would that result in an organisation's processing being compliant with the UK data protection law? And I suspect it wouldn't, because I suspect it might be able to form part of it, even if it was compatible with 17065, it still probably wouldn't offer sufficient assurance against UK law on its own. Probably still need to be extra requirements, depending on the context of the processing. That would be my feeling.
Yes, I think that realistically, it's going to need a whole full meeting to determine which is it, where's it going to be. Because I think Alistair said the 27001 and the 27701 are going to be the background management systems, which then become certified to the 17065.
So 27001 is ISMS, that's been updated. 27701 extends information security currently extends it to privacy requirements, privacy information management system. Yeah. But that position is involved in right? Which might see 27701 as a standard in the twin line. I understand.
Yeah, I think you are probably exactly the same as you there. I mean, I've been listening to them in the Rise and Shine, where they've been looking at both of these standards. There is obviously that background is there. At the moment, they're still arguing over what word is the best word to use in a whole paragraph, as is normal with the ISO standards. So it's, at the moment, for me, it's still difficult to say this is how we're going to do it. I mean, if I'm going to be looking at the certification side within ACCS, at this moment in time, I couldn't honestly turn around and say, until this one is approved and until that one's amended, and this is how we're going to do it.
I think following 17926 is, to my mind, from an accreditation point of view, is one way of fulfilling, of demonstrating that you're doing some of the GDPR requirements within the management system.
Yeah.
That in and of itself wouldn't be sufficient for the accreditation of the process.
Yeah.
Because the process requires more requirements. But it would be a building block, it would be a good foundation. However, as currently written, the timing of this is 2023, is referencing the previous version of 27001.
It's also arguing that it can be registered under 1706. I'm not saying that's right, but that document is saying that it would make it compatible with 17065 and therefore Article 42 certification scheme. So there's obviously an intention to try and allow people's management systems, if it's verified that they're being implemented, plus a few other bits, will be sufficient to constitute the requirements for the UK GDPR certification scheme. Whether we determine that that's the case or not is and I don't know how this has come about or why this has come about or what the intention is.
The objective of the standard, what the specified requirements, what must be met.
So now this is the new standard. The scope says it can be used for the implementation of the generic requirements and controls of 27701 according to its context and its applicable obligations.
Generic controls, which suggests a management system
or a process certification system
Yeah, that's what it's trying to do.
that ultimately it needs to control and achieve the outputs of the standard
So there's 3 annexes
process.
that like set the normative requirements.
Yeah, clear my mind is process.
I mean, as Alistair said there, you've got the 2 standards which could be an appropriate foundation for the product standard. So what exactly would be, I mean, if UCAS were coming into ASACS and we were saying, we've got this under 17065 and we are ready, what would UCAS be exactly looking for that product, and to say that we complied with it? Would you say it's the new 27001, or it's the new 27701, or is it a combination of these? Or
If it's your 17065 scheme, the ITO approved scheme would be assessing it under 17065.
right,
Your scheme itself might contain requirements from other best practice that we want to draw all together.
yeah,
But 17065 is the standard under which the ICU recognised scheme sits. Because that's the requirement in the
Is it worth clarifying what a scheme is? Thank you,
Volunteers.
Okay, just for clarification, a certification scheme, it states the objective, what must be met, what is the measurable attestation that's going to be stated, but what's going to be said to be okay. So the scheme needs to define the object of conformity, what's going to be measured and assured. Once you have a clear understanding of the object of conformity, then there needs to be specified requirements that describe what must be met to achieve the object of conformity. So you've got the object of conformity, you've got the specified requirements, and then the third part of the triangle is the measurement techniques that you're going to use to actually extract that data to perform and to confirm that the object of conformity is met. So the scheme needs to define those 3 items as a minimum. It can define other things, other peripheral industry requirements, etc., providing they're fair and reasonable and don't blur the object of conformity.
yeah,
But the scheme can be defined by the certification body with stakeholder engagement from a balanced interest of stakeholders. And then you can define what your scheme is going to deliver. You can present it to the ICO, and the ICO could then decide whether or not that is going to achieve the objective, I guess, in consultation with Alistair.
yeah. I mean, that for me does make it a lot clearer, because obviously we've got the ACCS 02, which looks at the GDPR element, and obviously we're now going to have to, I've got this feeling I will be volunteered to amend that to include the Pims sort of requirements.
Not necessarily, I mean, your scheme, right, so the ACCS scheme, the data protection requirements within that scheme, we have already approved and said that if organisations follow that, they will be doing age assurance in compliance with UK GDPR. That is what we've assessed, and UCAS have assessed, obviously, the application of that in an accreditation context, so that you as an organisation can operate that scheme and have the design, the design output. So you don't need, from our point of view, to implement this as part of it. I guess the question might be, if an organisation came to you and they, I mean, I don't know, this isn't out there and I don't think schemes exist for this, but if an organisation was certified already against 27001, 27701, and this, to what extent would that provide evidence of compliance to your scheme? Because there would be read acrosses in some areas So your scheme already has a built-in management system element to it, you know, in terms of having the sort of procedures and policies in place, and the continual audit and improvement of, you know, all of those things is kind of hard baked into the scheme. It's still fundamentally focused on the processing of personal data within the age assurance product service,
Yeah.
depending on who it is or what the thing is being certified. So just because this exists doesn't mean you have to do anything. I suppose the question is whether your organisation as a certification body wanted to offer certification against this and set up a new scheme that would be able to be approved by the ICO under Article 42. Or anyone else would, you know, I don't know, I'm talking, does that make sense?
Yeah. It does make, you know, sort of quite clear sense in the way you've described it there, and it certainly makes it a lot clearer for people like me. Just get rid of somebody. That's one of the reasons I was semi-stumbling there, because I've got people talking to me while I'm trying to listen to you. It's not a good combination.
So have you had customers come forward with an interest in a specific standard?
We've had a few people asking or inquiring what it's about, but not yet saying, you know, we want to be certified to this. So the questions are being asked. I think especially, I think one of it ties in with the 17926 going through Parliament. Is that committee stage now? Has it gone past?
DPDI. That's the DPDI going through. Yeah. It's going through the law.
Yeah. I mean, so people are now becoming aware of that. So you know, that question is being asked. They wanted clarification on that.
I mean, that's it. That's going to change UK data protection law further. So this wouldn't even apply necessarily. This, even if this did allow for process certification under 17, that does fall under 1706.
Processes.
Yes. So even if this was compatible and it could be done as process certification scheme under 17065, the question we'd be asking is, do all the normative requirements ensure compliance with UK data protection law? That's so currently as it stands now, but then obviously if and when the law changes, then it wouldn't, would it? Because there would be, you know, so the requirements for DPOs, just for example, there's a requirement in here to appoint a DPO and what its tasks and whatever are, and DPDI removes that requirement.
Yeah.
So not that certification can't go beyond the law. So if you want, you know, it doesn't stop people having, you know, going over and above and saying, you know, it talks about senior responsible individual, I think, instead of a DPO.
Yeah.
That there isn't the same rules around, you know, who that individual reports to and things like that there is in the current legislation. So there's lots of different, I think that's the thing, just going back to what we said at the beginning, it's hinged on multiple different things. So there's all these different potentially moving parts. If one changes, then that just changes this. Because it doesn't apply. If 27001 changes, then that impacts this. If 27701 changes, that impacts this. So this would have to change. If data protection law changes, if this is intended, if this wanted to be used for UK context, it would have to reflect UK data protection law, which it currently doesn't. It reflects GDPR, which isn't exactly the same as UK GDPR. So
it's very fluid then at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that certainly answers a lot of questions that have been asked. See, now I've just, for me and ACCS, I mean, I've now got to try and absorb that and look at our schemes and see if there's what needs to be done. See if we do need to do something. So I don't know about other companies or other accreditation bodies or how they're going to adopt these changes if they need to.
But you'd only need to be concerned with it if you operated certification to 27001 or 27701. Like, I mean, this isn't the law, they're standards. So, as with any certification, it's voluntary, isn't it? So, you know, organisations can choose or not to do it.
As you say, it's voluntary, but then again, it's got its legal requirements built in there as such. Because the law is always going to be the law, whether you want to be certified to our standard that complies with that.
Yeah.
That's the choice that the people are going to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And that gives the assurance, doesn't it? The question for this specific one is to what extent that could be used in the data protection certification context or in the UK Gdpr context, really. If we as the ICO looked at how this amends or applies 27001, 27701 and went, okay, all of those requirements meet our requirements, then we could approve that and then people could go to UCAS and say we want to develop a scheme and get it accredited, to deliver that scheme. But I mean, we haven't done that. That wasn't tasked with that for the purpose of today. I mean, and that would take a lot of reviewing. As you've already said, you'd have to have 3 different documents open to the law to kind of to be able to even understand what's required in this, which is difficult in itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's trying to mold an attestation of a management system to meet the requirements of Gdpr.
Yeah.
Which it may go some way to do that, but in and of itself couldn't meet the requirements of Gdpr because it's not a 1706 scheme. That's 1706 as it stands, as written, but it could be incorporated. And the requirements are adapted to build a strong foundation on which a process-based audit could review. You want management system aspects.
Yes.
Because it's going to be subject to regular review and surveillance. So you want to see management system aspects that could certainly be used for that.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of these go beyond having policies and procedures, like the actual requirements. It's like, you need to ensure you've got identified and documented a lawful basis and how consent was obtained and all those things, which to my mind goes beyond a management system.
Sits within a management system.
Yeah. But I guess I don't know, but that's where I was trying to debate in earlier, but it's like, if them saying you shall implement that control that's written in 27701, if doing that means that you are complying with the law and that the processing is compliant and that the auditing of that verifies that that's compliant, then it would be fine, would it? Because there's been a discussion right from the beginning, hasn't there? Like people saying, yes, but you can, as long as a management system is applied and it's been verified as being applied, it could be accredited under 17065, like it could work. So it's like you are verifying the application of that, so you're looking at the end result rather than at the intent. But obviously it would depend what those controls covered and if it covered everything.
it depends how the management system is configured as well, because there's a different intent between management certification and process certification.
Yeah.
When you certify a process, you are saying that process achieves the specified requirements as set down in legislation, as set down in a normative standard. When you certify a management system, you're saying that the management system achieves its intent, whatever that intent is, and however that intent is configured and defined. So under a process certification, you would be certifying that the processes achieve the legal compliance and the legal requirements, or the processes achieve outputs in accordance with the legal compliance. However, in so doing, there is a management system that has been configured to drive and assure that those processes do actually meet the legal compliance requirements.
Yeah. I think what you've just said there, that was the original driver for the question in the first place.
Yeah, because a process certification is a much stronger statement than a management certification statement. That you're saying that it's actually compliant with a defined set of requirements, whereas a management system is only compliant with whatever the requirements are that are stated by the management system. But in this case, the management system could be, the objective of the management system could be configured to achieve the process compliance requirements of the legal compliance. If that makes sense.
Not 100%, but depends on that at the best of times.
Well, the management system doesn't say we're going to achieve good record control, we're going to achieve internal audit. The management system will say the processes within the management system will achieve the legal compliance of whatever, which then gives it a stronger statement, and then it then has to support those processes that actually have to demonstrate that they achieve the legal compliance.
So can you say that first sentence again? So certifying a process, you're certifying that what? It achieves compliance with
Specified requirements.
and then with a management system,
You're achieving compliance with the stated objective of the management system.
I understand it. It's just like when you try and describe it in most, it's not easy. Because one's tangible, isn't it, and one's less so.
Process is tangible.
Yeah. So you go, here's the end result, this is what you need.
So simple example, a process certification to manufacture a burger, McDonald's have them. You can go into any McDonald's store worldwide and the standard and the type of the burger is probably going to look the same, feel the same, taste the same. It's consistent.
Yeah.
So it's coming out peas in a pod or burgers from McDonald's. So the processes implemented by McDonald's achieve a consistent burger. You could then have a management system that's sitting beside that says, this is for the procurement and the purchasing of the ingredients. And the management system buys all the ingredients and it defines that you will buy beef from wherever and you'll buy, and it tells you who all your suppliers are. But then that all then feeds into the process that actually produces that final burger, and the management system is supporting that process of consistency.
Yeah.
So they've got slightly different functions. Sorry, Alistair, I'm using one of my analogies again.
I think that always helps.
Just have one of McDonald's there with peas in it.
Never eaten one, Steve. Never tried one, so I can't comment.
I think what you just summarised, sorry, but I knew, There's a diagram on page 30 of 17126,
Yeah.
which kind of suggests that this standard's clauses 5 and 6
Yeah.
is trying to use the 17021 to give an assurance about the management system aspect, but recognises there's the product aspect, which I think comes in from another angle, that also has to apply.
But 17065 recognises that product process service is supported by management system.
Sure.
And allows the use of 1721 to cover the elements where a management system is in existence. So it's allowable.
As for the standard, we're talking about 17126. Sorry, this isn't the formal standards view. It's just my personal view of it. It's getting the law. It really is.
What is, sorry?
17926. It's referencing the out-of-date version of 27001.
Yeah.
27701, and this is technically falls under a confidentiality agreement that anyone on the ISO committee signs up to, so I've got to be careful what I say. But 27701 is going to change significantly with the next edition. And the accreditation scheme that goes with it.
Yeah.
So this is, unfortunately, I get the intention.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a good intention, but it's. If I was doing this as a commercial activity, I wouldn't be wasting the time on this.
No.
I'm not only on it. That's it.
That was the example I gave earlier on, we were saying when I was talking, as if I was a quality manager. This would be, I view this as a best practice, utilising this to inform and design a management system would be a good thing to do, and it would go some way to demonstrate, should there be a problem to the ICO, that we have taken steps to ensure that our process itself is fit for purpose. But it only informs the design and implementation of the management system aspects. It doesn't guarantee processing of data. It's going to meet the requirements of GDPR. It says it has the potential to put stuff in place to try and ensure it does. But in and of itself, wouldn't be a demonstration that the processing of data routinely was meeting the requirements of UK GDPR.
Yeah. I mean, so the way I'm sort of translating that back into into my space, it almost becomes like a health and safety or HSC approved code of practice. Then it's something that shows you've completed that due diligence.
It's a good way of it's one way of demonstrating the aspects of your operation, the requirements of, but in and of itself, it's not. Just because that's the value of the types of product schemes that you run, is your scheme has been reviewed and approved by the ICO, and then subsequently reviewed and accredited by us to say, if you meet the requirements of this scheme, your processes will have been confirmed as meeting the requirements of GDPR. That's the shift. I think, and I mean, as Steve said, the timing is unfortunate. So much has moved on.
But probably wasn't when it was started, knowing how long these things. Like I said, because I think it does go back to the beginning when there was lots of lobbying, that's not quite the right word, but there was quite a lot of people who were like, well, we already have a management, we already have an information security management system, we already have a privacy information management system, why can't that be certified under, because one of our biggest challenges right at the beginning when we were receiving schemes to look at, the requirements to look at, was that they were essentially management systems. It was like, have a policy in place for this, you should have a procedure in place for that, not about like what the resulting processing looks like, what good looks like in that context in terms of the outcomes. So that was so I think, people were just trying to go, okay, this is already prevalent in the market. 27001 is already prevalent in the market, so how can we make it fit? And then 27701 was already kind of there. But I mean, there's no still in its infancy in terms of certification schemes, isn't it?
So this
As
is
I understand
new
it.
water, right?
Newer,
Mm.
yeah.
It's been around for 4, 5 years, so I don't remember.
In operation, yeah.
2019.
So I think it's almost like people have already got that, how can we just repackage that? So if we have implemented that management system for our processing, therefore our processing is compliant, how can we repackage it to make it fit? And I think that's what this is trying to do, is, I'm not saying it's right, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying I think that's what it's,
That's what it's targeted to.
what it's trying to do, but as you said, is already kind of
Yes, or,
out of date
yeah.
based on.
I was just going to say that. I mean, so realistically, I completely agree with you. I wouldn't say it's dead in the water, but it's already been superseded by events for the change of the standards.
I think 27701 helps with the annex. Is it D or E that's got mapping against GDPR?
Yeah.
It's misleading for a start, isn't it?
But I think that was always a challenge anyway, because the legislation as it is principles-based legislation. So whilst there are bits of it that are more specific than others, it lends itself probably more to like a management system than, do you know what I mean? So it's like, so, yeah. I think I mean, they exist now, like ACCS is an example of that. So there are schemes like that exist and are in operation, so that are looking at that processing. So it does work, but it's just coming at it from the other end. It looks like in terms of outcomes.
Yeah, so that, yeah, on that, I know you say it's going through the Commons and all that at the moment, but it's not going to be that long before the 1796 gets rewritten again to catch up with all the other standards.
17926 is separate from the legislation that's going through, the bill that's going through Commons. So I mean, that's
Yeah. And I think they're all going to be semi-intra-related as such because they're all revolving.
If for a UK context, this would have to be rewritten again to align to the new data protection law.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning.
Might confuse matters, but there's British Standard 10,012, which was written specifically for GDPR.
Yes, we were talking
Whether that
about.
actually fulfills it or not is another debate.
Yeah, because there was lots of discussion before even the certifications came into for that side. You know, people were looking at that going, does that, if somebody had certification under that, would they be compliant?
I think I need another couple of screens of my desktop. I've already got sort of one that way and then another one this way. Then the wife's not happy. She's got the one monitor. I've already got 4 monitors up, and I think I'm going to need another one. Right, from my perspective, that's about as far as we can go on this discussing the Pims and this new standard, because everything's subject to change. I mean, the change is ongoing now.
I wasn't really listening to he asked the question.
Yeah. Yes, it sort of came on me sort of like a couple of weeks ago when I missed the meeting and got volunteered for it.
So it was only published on 31st of December. So it is new. Do we know, I'm assuming not, does anybody know, are EDPB looking at this in the European context? If so, are they proposing to endorse it? Do you know? because obviously this is written for the EU context, specifically says that for the EU context.
I think that's another minefield that's going to sort of come round. It is one of the questions I asked when the UK developed its own data protection or GDPR. How's that then going to align with the EU's GDPR when a country alters things? But I would suspect that's a question for those in parliaments and the respective parliaments to talk about then. So we've only got like 5 minutes left, and then to 3 o'clock, and then obviously you've got the next meeting anyway from 3 o'clock for the age assurance and new area of accreditation under 17065. Right, so with that, thank you very much, and I look forward to the final outcome in a few years' time.